up on Network Africa. One person killed during nationwide demonstrations against the new finance bill in Kenya. At least 200 others injured. The UN refugee chief calls on the world to not forget the war in Sudan as more refugees arrive neighboring South Sudan. Plus, Burkina Faso's military leader debunks rumors about unrest in the security force, visits the country's main TV station after an alleged attack. Hello and welcome to the program today. I'm Layo Olarinde. Thank you so much for joining us. We begin in Kenya, where at least one person has died. A 29-year-old man killed during nationwide demonstrations against the new finance bill and 200 others injured. Anti-tax protesters in Kenya are in shock because Rex Masai died of gunshot wounds, according to a doctor from a hospital in the capital, Nairobi. Well, police fired tear gas and water cannons at largely peaceful protesters near Parliament as lawmakers were debating proposals to bring in new taxes. Well, Amnesty International accused the police of using excessive force to contain the protesters, saying more than 100 people were arrested on Thursday. Well, images you see now are from Thursday's protests that have been dubbed Occupy Parliament, and the protests began on Tuesday. The public outcry forced the government to withdraw some of the contentious provisions, including a 16% tax on bread and an annual 2.5% tax on vehicles. Well, let's get more on this. Joining us now is Mohammed Yusuf, the VOA's reporter in Nairobi. Hello, Mohammed. Thank you so much for your time on the program. Let's begin with the situation today. Are the protesters still occupying the parliament?
The protests from the yesterday, it was over, and today there was sporadic protests because that comes after the members of parliament voting the financial bill 2024 yesterday. So there were protests we understand that there was protests from on the Mombasa to Nairobi. The roads were blocked. Some few kilometers from the capital Nairobi, there was also protests, and there were some constituencies where members of parliament voted for the finance bill 2024. Some of their constituents were not happy, and they were calling for the members of parliament to resign. And of course, there was also the sad incident where a protester was killed, and there were also some of these youths who went to the city mortuary to view his body and also console the family. That has been so far what's been going on today, but the protest is still ongoing in some parts of the country.
And we understand that one person has died, just like you've just mentioned, but he died from gunshot wounds. Help us break down, the circumstances around this, especially if the police is saying, they used and fired tear gas and water cannons at the protesters.
Most of the protests I've covered it on Tuesday and Thursday. It's been really peaceful, but this incident happened late in the evening. And I remember last night at 7:30 Nairobi time, there were a group of police officers clearing roads, clearing streets because there were still many youths in the streets. And after 30 minutes after that incident, that is after that, witnessing that movement of police, that's when we heard that a protester was shot. But up to now, we understand that the body is still in the central city mortuary in Nairobi, and the postmortem is yet to be done. But all the fingers now is pointed at the police. But generally, this is a very protest that's different from what we have seen in Nairobi previously. It's been really peaceful, and many youths have been really peaceful. We've seen friendly instances where police and the youths were engaging each other in a very cordial and friendly manner in the streets of Nairobi.
Now, these protests began on Tuesday and the government had to bow to pressure. We've seen them withdraw on some of the taxes, including the 16% tax on bread and an annual 2.5% tax on vehicles. But that does not seem to stem the anger of the mainly youthful protesters, has it?
Not really. Actually, what you've just said about the bread and motor vehicle, that was just an announcement that was made on Tuesday morning before the protest began, as set as when the ruling party members went to the president. That was just a statement that they made. But actually, what we know from yesterday's debate and passing of the bill, actually is passed as it is, as it was proposed, and all the clauses and all the pages were passed as it is. And now it has been passed and has gone to the committee to look at some of those issues. But that was just a statement that was made, but nothing was actually changed in that document. And that anger and the continuation of the protests actually comes from that. And also remember, this is a government that was campaigning that under pretext of hustlers, that we care about you, unlike the previous government. This is a government that people of the poor are going to form. And that hasn't been the case. And the borrowing has been going on. There have been more taxes. And for the past 20 years in governments, Kenyans are used to seeing developments, roads, and that is not what has been going on for the past 2 years. Mostly emanates from that. Of course, education sector, many students are complaining not getting the money on time and it's been reduced. All those sort of things actually it's been. And Kenyans across many parts of Africa, of course, this issue is the same of high cost of living. And that is, they feel that this goes on is going to be too much for them to bear.
Yeah. Finally, Mohammed, how close is this financial bill, how close is it to being passed into law?
If you speak to the parliament proceedings, this actually is passed. It's just that it's gone to the committee where they're going to look at all these clauses one by one, what was amended, what changes that was proposed, what addition is there, and after that, it just goes to the parliament once again, to the chair, of course, in this case, the speaker, and after that, any members, any minister can impose, for example, the levy on when Kenya's minister talks of maintaining roads 9 shillings. So if it's passed next week, actually, we can hear the minister coming up and saying, look, we've increased 9 shillings on fuel. And actually nothing you can do about it. And this is now the area we're heading. But as we all know, the protest still goes on until next week. On Saturday, Sunday, of course, it's church. Many Kenyans go to church. And it's also an area that we have to really look at because we understand that people will be shouting down some of these members of parliament who would like to address the churchgoers and the Christians in those churches. And next week, on Tuesday and on Thursday, again, Kenyans are back on the streets. And it's not yet over. See how this flies.
Indeed, Mohammed. Well, we'll leave it at that to see how it all goes. But thank you so much, the VOA's reporter, Mohammed Yusuf in Nairobi. Thank you. South Sudan's vice president says peace talks in neighboring Kenya have failed to acknowledge the country's peace agreement that was established in 2018, alleging a new draft agreement is aimed at replacing the original peace deal. Riek Machar wrote a protest letter to the talks mediator saying that the draft established alternative institutions to replace or run in parallel with those established by the previous peace agreement. He adds that the current peace talks should complement and not obliterate the original deal. Now, the former rebel leader signed an agreement with President Salva Kiir back in 2018 that ended a 5-year civil war that had killed about 400,000 people. Both men were on opposite sides of the war, and Mr. Machar was appointed vice president after that 2018 deal. Now, despite this peace deal, violence in South Sudan has continued, most of it attributed to rebel groups and warring ethnic groups. The body mandated with monitoring the implementation of the 2018 peace deal raised concerns back in May over the slow implementation of election-related tasks, with only few months left until the December elections. A team of UN peacekeepers and local authorities have arrived in the South Sudanese community of Ndiangere to assess the security situation and also to hear firsthand what challenges the community is facing Residents say that they are lacking basic services such as education, health, and security facilities. This scarcity has been compounded by the arrival of internally displaced persons who have fled the recent outburst of intercommunal violence in Tambura. Jane Coney, the head of the UN missions in South Sudan field office in Yambio, says the mission continues to work with the government to boost the quality of life and residents for the residents and the internally persons also.
We are very tired and we need peace. We have suffered a lot. We need schools, we need hospitals and other materials which are missing from us.
Do know that we are here to listen to what are the challenges and to go back and to the extent possible mobilize among the UN community. But as UNMISS, we continue to do what is our mandate, which is protection of civilians. We continue to work with the government to complement their efforts to protect each and every civilian in South Sudan.
The UN High Commissioner for Refugees, Filippo Grandi, is calling on the world to not forget the conflict in Sudan, which has been engulfed by violence since April last year. Mr. Grandi pushed for peace as he visited a transit center in Renk, set up by the UNHCR in South Sudan's Upper Nile state, near the border with Sudan. The center was originally built to accommodate 4,000 people, but now has more than 13,000 people living in and around it. Many who have recently arrived are Sudanese people who are escaping the fighting in El Fasher, that's in Sudan's Darfur region.
At the peak of the emergency last year, 4,000 people per day were going through rank. Now this figure has decreased, but there is still about 1,000 people a day. Imagine 1,000 people a day arriving in a rich country. It would be a huge problem. And yet here, South Sudan keeps its borders open and the local community welcomes the people that are coming, in spite of the burden that they represent, of the resources that they need to be kept here. I'm here during the week of World Refugee Day to say, don't forget the refugees from Sudan. Don't forget the neighboring countries, Chad, Central African Republic, South Sudan, Ethiopia, Egypt, that are all generously receiving people, but that are facing challenges of their own. Here in South Sudan, a country that has seen 2 civil wars in 10 years, and which is still emerging from this conflict, this crisis, this arrival of hundreds of thousands of returnees could be very destabilizing.
It was another World Refugee Day marked here in Lagos, Nigeria, where the UN Human Rights Commission, alongside officials from the Nigeria Immigration and civil organizations, drew attention to the plight of refugees, especially those who have made Nigeria home. Activities to commemorate the day in Lagos included song presentations, cultural performances, and sensitization on the plight of refugees. Head of the UNHCR office in Lagos, Godwin Brire, said the day not only offers an opportunity for awareness on refugees, but awareness on options available to the refugees. This year's theme is in solidarity with refugees and their specific needs.
To offer assistance and protection to refugees. Mainly is the registration of asylum seekers, issuing refugee status to asylum seekers, ensuring that those who have been granted refugee status get documentation. They're able to have that freedom of movement in Nigeria. They're also able to get access to livelihood opportunities, access education, and also living in harmony and peace without any problems of like physical and legal protection needs.
As the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, that is the coordinating agency for all refugee-related affairs, is always has its door open to receive partnership from different partners, whether it's from the government, whether it's from civil society. We collaborate very strongly with the United Nations High Commission for Refugees, UNHCR, as well as other UN agencies and also state government agencies. For example, in Lagos, we have very strong collaborations with the Lagos State Employment Trust Fund, the Lagos Office of Disabilities, and other Lagos state agencies. And our doors are continuously open to partner with whatever agencies are available, even civil society, private sector, that are willing to integrate refugees into their programs. Refugees are human beings just like you and I. They are not special persons that that need any extra effort. They can be integrated seamlessly. Some of them are doctors, some of them are lawyers. They can be integrated seamlessly into various private sector and even the government circles.
We'll take a break now on the program. Still ahead. World leaders launch a program to boost vaccine production in Africa. Please join us again. Welcome back to the program. Worsening insecurity in Burkina Faso is fueling rumors of dissent against the military government. Recent shootings, first at the presidential palace and then at the site of a public broadcaster in the capital, Ouagadougou, are fueling suggestions that Burkina Faso may be edging towards another mutiny amid a growing security crisis in the country. However, the military junta leader, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, has since appeared on TV, state TV, to debunk the rumors. Jihadist group JNIM has said it was behind last Tuesday's attack in the northern town of Mansilla, an attack that reportedly killed more than 100 soldiers on an army base. The following day, there was an explosion near the headquarters of the state television, where Captain Traoré has visited the station to reassure the staff of their safety following the attack. Somalia's government is seeking to slow the withdrawal of African peacekeepers and warning of a potential security vacuum, with neighboring countries threatening that resurgent Al-Shabaab armed group fighters could seize power. The African Union Transition Mission in Somalia, it's a peacekeeping force, says it's committed to withdrawing by December 31st, when a smaller new force is expected to replace it. However, in a letter last month to the acting chair of the AU Peace and Security Council, the Somali government is asking to delay until September the withdrawal of half the 4,000 troops due to leave by the end of June. And as the drawdown proceeds, with 5,000 of around 18,500 troops leaving last year, the government has projected confidence. It has said that the new force should not exceed 10,000 and should be limited to tasks like securing major population centers in the country. Well, several African leaders and French President Emmanuel Macron have kicked off a planned $1.1 billion project to accelerate vaccine production in Africa. This is coming after the COVID-19 pandemic exposed inequalities in access to inoculation. Many African leaders and advocacy groups say Africa was unfairly locked out of access to COVID-19 treatment tools, the vaccines, and the testing equipment, which many richer countries bought up in huge quantities after the pandemic was declared in 2020. Now, the launch of the African Vaccine Manufacturing Accelerator as an event in Paris on Thursday is expected to provide financial incentives to boost local vaccine manufacturing on the continent. African Union Commission Chief Musa Faki Mahamat has welcomed this initiative, saying that it could become a catalyst for promoting the pharmaceutical industry in Africa and also fostering collaboration between member states. Welcome to our Africa Tech segment. For some people, the AI chatbot, ChatGPT, is nothing new. However, NiGPT is, and that is Nigeria Info Generative Pre-trained Transformer. NiGPT is an AI model centered on Nigeria, and it's designed to deliver comprehensive insights into the country while respecting its cultural values.
On November the 30th, 2022, OpenAI, under the leadership of Sam Altman, launched an AI chatbot and virtual assistant, ChatGPT. Designed to mimic human-like conversation, ChatGPT uses generative AI technology to create content from text prompts. Whether you need a detailed explanation, a creative story, or just a friendly chat, ChatGPT can provide the help you need.
It's a technological epiphanic moment.
Fast forward to June 2024, and we have NiGPT, Nigeria Info's generative pre-trained transformer. NiGPT aims to take things further by providing real-time indigenized solutions to the information needs of Nigerians.
For each invention and business case, there is always room for improvement. As such, we have followed in Sam Altman's footsteps to first of all identify ChatGPT's limitations and subsequently improve its service offering with regards to Nigerian-specific and African-specific questions.
So, what makes NiGPT stand out? Unlike ChatGPT, which provides summarized information on global topics, NiGPT dives deep into the specifics of happenings in Nigeria. In doing so, it captures the essence of Nigeria's unique values and offers detailed, reliable information promptly.
So ChatGPT says
in a comparison demo between ChatGPT 3.5 and 4.0 and NiGPT 1.0 and 1.1, NiGPT offers something new by delivering more Nigeria-specific information.
ChatGPT answers, as of my last update in 2022, Bola Ahmed Tinubu has not served as president of Nigeria. Nigeria's baby answers that President Ahmed Bola Tinubu's address at the United Nations General Assembly Onga in 2023 conveyed several key messages.
With features set to surpass current expectations, NiGPT aims to replace the phrase "Google it" with "Ask NiGPT for all information needs."
I think it shows that a local team can actually build some of these systems, train the system on the data, and give relevant culture-specific answers, which is what we need. Why? Because the neural network has been trained on Nigerian-specific data, which is more relevant to our ecosystem locally.
We looked at OpenAI and that bias for information which exists because it is not local. And we said, hey, wait a minute. If questions about Nigeria are not a priority to this system, let us make questions about Nigeria a priority to ours and create an AI system that is able to answer country-specific questions that the legacy players cannot answer.
AI is transforming our world, one conversation at a time. And as we look to the future, it remains to be seen how NiGPT will continue to evolve and impact not just Nigeria, but potentially the world.
Here in Nigeria, the Abia state government has reiterated its commitment to tackling the food challenge and empowering young people in the state through the selection and sponsorship of 300 farmers for a 2-week intensive agricultural training program in Nasarawa State. Admonishing the 300 beneficiaries at the government house in Umuahia, the state capital, before their departure, the chief of staff to the governor, Pastor Caleb Ajagba, have advised the participants to take advantage of the opportunity to exit joblessness. He called on them to be good ambassadors of the state, adding that Dr. Alex Ote's administration paid for all 300 beneficiaries to visit CSS farms for onward exposure to all forms of mechanized farming and the entire value chain of agriculture.
You may think it's something to be relying globally in Nigeria. It will change circumstances.
And that's it on the program today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Layo Olarinde. Have a lovely weekend.